Saima Adeel is currently the Assistant Project Manager at Citizens Voice Project at the United States Agency for International Development USAID SHEHRI, which is aimed at increasing engagement between the citizens and state institutions of Pakistan.
Very good morning to you all. Okay, so the right to information scenario in Pakistan. It's about the Constitution of Pakistan that gives the right to access to information to every citizen. Article 19A in the Constitution of Pakistan. Now I'll just briefly discuss with you the history of FOI and RTI laws in Pakistan. It started in 1997. Pakistan was the first country in South Asia to introduce freedom of information law at federal level in 1997. But it was an ordinance by an interim government and not an act of parliament, so it had a life of only 3 months. The first proper FOI legislation was introduced, and the first generation FOI law with a lot of inherent weaknesses was introduced in 2002. And now in 2017, the first generation 2000 FOI law was repealed and replaced by much improvement. And the second generation RTI law, Federal Right of Access to Information Act 2017 is here. There are many weaknesses in this law, despite of the fact that RTI was enacted in October 2017. But we have the rules and regulations have not been notified yet. The formation of Information Commission, the appellate body of the Act, is still awaited. In its absence, the government departments don't take the law seriously. Similarly, the government departments have not notified their public information officials. As a result, general public is facing difficulties in filing their FOI requests. Okay, there is a comparison of Pakistan and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has their law in 2016. While we have in 2017, the rating all over the world is 28, while Sri Lanka is the third best RTI law. Okay, so we have access to every citizen, and they have the incorporated and unincorporated bodies as well. And they have the whistleblower law in their act, but we don't have it, unfortunately. Okay. The right to information enables citizens to undertake the social audit. They have to know the true facts, evaluate or monitor the performance of government, hence critical to the process of strengthening good governance, accountability and transparency. Risks and safeties of information seeker. The risks are that there had been, fortunately, no backlash or attacks on RTI activists because of the weak RTI law. So, FOI requests made, very few FOI requests were made, and even fewer requests are responded to. And we have not posed any serious threat because of the corruption. This is catch-22 of the RTI. The more ineffective the RTI mechanism is, the greater is the safety for RTI activists. Internationally, catch-22 of RTI has darker undertones in countries with an effective RTI setup in place. The social activists have to pay a heavy price in pursuit of truth. In India, more than 70 RTI activists have been murdered. The harassment in the pursuit of truth is not limited to just the third world countries or underdeveloped countries, but even the so-called pillars of democracy, and truth suffers from the all-seeing Big Brother syndrome. The West has been continuously and systematically pursuing the persecution, like Julian Assange, Edward Snowden, and many, for daring to expose the truth. In Europe, Malta, Slovakia, Myanmar, journalists have been murdered. In Europe in the last year, in Malta in 2017, and Slovakia as well. In Myanmar, the army massacre of Rohingya is known to everyone. RTI activists in Pakistan have not as yet progressed to the level where they can be perceived as a threat or retaliated upon. However, the downside of this crusade in search of the truth is very clear and present danger to life and liberty of journalists who have had to pay with the ultimate price in the pursuit of truth. In Pakistan, there have been numerous cases of journalists becoming victims of violence or disappearance. 73 journalists and media workers have been killed for their work since 2002. 47 were targeted and murdered. 25 killed while pursuing their duties. In addition, 185 media personnel were injured, 88 assaulted, 22 abducted, and 42 detained during the same period. During the last 1 year, 3 journalists were killed, while 19 media professionals were injured in attack in different parts of the country while performing their duties. Added to that have been cases of missing journalists. There's a very known case of 5 bloggers missing, and an executive of Pakistan's leading media group were abducted and returned after some time in some mysterious circumstances. There has been no attempt to investigate the abduction, and no one has been held accountable for the kidnapping and alleged torture. All this is compounded by the total impunity of crime, of violence against media men. Impunity has been the norm, and there have only been 5 convictions of murders of journalists. Journalism is one of the most unsafe professions in Pakistan, and the quarters which pose threats to journalists include militants, religious outfits, separatist groups, and we have been in the province of Pakistan, Balochistan. They have stopped the newspapers, and 24 media press clubs were forced to shut down just because they wrote something about the tribal and separatist group. Intelligence agencies, ethnic political parties, mainstream political parties, criminal gangs, tribal elders, feudal lords, everyone has their own impact to just force them not to print what they dislike. Okay, recent victimization of journalists are that the terrorists want to rationalize their actions, and they want media to publicize their viewpoint to the world. When media fails to act according to their bid, they issue threats and victimize the journalists and their families. Corporate pressure is a major threat to media overall in Pakistan, where advertisements revenue is used as carrot and stick. So the big businesses there, if you will say something against them, they'll pull their business out. Journalists in Pakistan don't have any institutionalized social security system. Those killed in the line of duty leave their families at the mercy of a weak economy. To commemorate the murder of journalists around the globe, the UN observed November 2nd as the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. Okay, now I have some cases. Omar Chima, a very well-known investigative reporter who tackled difficult and risky topics, questioning the conduct of the intelligence agencies, exposing corrupt practices of high-ranking officials, criticizing the army and intelligence agencies. He said that they tortured me for 25 minutes, shaved my head, eyebrows, mustache, and then filmed and photographed the naked body and was dumped nearly 100 miles outside Islamabad with a warning not to speak up for the face or to face the consequences. Hamid Mir earned global fame as he was the first journalist to interview Osama bin Laden. He was attacked and shot 6 times. Luckily, he survived. Unfortunately, Syed Salim Shehzad, the 5th journalist to die in the first 5 months of 2011. He was an investigative reporter for Asia Times Online. He wrote an article alleging that Al-Qaeda elements had penetrated Pakistan's navy and that a military crackdown on them has precipitated the May 22nd terrorist attack on a Karachi naval base. On his sad demise, Omar Chima wrote that he was easily killed because the assassins sit at the pinnacle of power. When Daniel Pearl was brutally murdered by militants in Karachi in 2002, his case was prosecuted and 4 accomplices to the crime were sentenced. This happened only because Mr. Pearl was an American journalist. Had he been a Pakistani, there would have been no justice and impunity of crime against journalism. Okay, there is a death of journalists killed in Pakistan. I have some safety RTI mechanism and safety of journalists in Pakistan. Right to access to information. There is a specific clause dealing with the enforced disappearance of individuals. That's it. That is 14.3. Information needed to protect the life and liberty of any individual shall be provided within 3 days. However, till the RTI law becomes fully operational, this clause will not act as much as of a shield. In the meantime, in order to protect themselves from the adverse effects in pursuit of truth, journalists can use the RTI law not individually in their own name, but rather collectively. to under the name of the head of the media houses or journalist unions, as their clout can act as stronger shield as compared to an individual journalist. The role of security agencies, media houses, and the journalist union is important in providing protection to the journalists for performing their jobs and continuing with the profession. At the same time, the international and local mechanism need to be strengthened to provide safety to the journalists in the quest of truth. Okay, now we have Sustainable Development Goal 16. That says peace and justice, strong institutions. Since media act as a watchdog on the performance of the government, therefore the security and freedom of media needs to be protected at any cost for any development initiative to succeed. Okay, Universal Periodic Review is there by the Human Rights Council, and the local mechanism for the safety of journalists in Pakistan. The Senate has approved the bill, Journalist Safety, Security and Protection Act. But when will it pass and legislated by the National Assembly is to be seen. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. Thank you.